Hey, Kevin Inoue here again from PewTube and Fight Designer LLC. Quick share today. One of the things that has just become dominant in the world of prop guns is Airsoft. There's no denying how big an impact they've had on what we do in theater and especially in film and television, where we're going to foley the sound effects in any way. We can add digital effects like muzzle flash and shell casings if we want to. And honestly, there are some Airsofts that actually do eject shell casings and things like that. So, they can be very realistic. They can also be very expensive. Some of the shell ejecting prop guns, the higher end ones, the collector's ones, you'll pay more for the Airsoft than you will for the real gun in this country, the US, which says as much about the US as it does about Airsoft, I suppose. But there's some cool stuff out there. There's also cheap, low-end pieces of plastic that'll just, little spring guns that'll sound chintzy and will break and don't look good, whatever. But when you get a nice trademarked metal blowback version, it's really satisfying as a prop and it's safe, as long as you're not shooting BBs. That should go without saying. Amongst the things it won't do, it won't give you muzzle flash. Now, I recently found a whole line of products that I hadn't known existed. I'd known about these glow-in-the-dark BBs and tracer units that flash a little light as the BB is exiting the barrel to make the BB glow. Basically turns it into a kind of toy laser gun almost. They do look a little like the tracers in actual rounds of ammunition, but most guns don't use tracer rounds, right? Unless you're firing a minigun or a large machine gun, belt-fed, something like that, and you need to be able to see where it's going. Most guns that people are going to carry around with them aren't going to use tracer rounds, which makes those units not very useful. Plus, I don't want to fire BBs because I don't want to hurt my actors. But this category recently I discovered was designed to actually give you the option of simulating muzzle flash, and that's exciting to me. If you could have something that's a gas blowback with nothing coming out the barrel but compressed air, and you get some muzzle flash, because when you get a little bit of that gas and the light hits it, it can look pretty decent. I'll drop in some clips here so you can see some of the stuff that I was seeing on YouTube. And I went ahead and picked one of these up on eBay. A little bit cheaper than you might otherwise get. And I wanted to see how it would work. So what we've got is a rechargeable internal battery on this sort of mock suppressor thing. And it says, tracer made in China, whatever. I could paint over all that. I'm not too worried about that, or sand it off. It's just painted on. But in addition to the lights on the inside that would work with the tracer rounds, it has some lights on the outside. So when you turn it on with this little light here, it can make that flash. I'll cut to a clip and show you what it looks like. So that's the good news, is it actually can give you a little something which can be nice for your DP in terms of using actual light as a way to illuminate things. Think about like the awesome scene in Equilibrium, cheesy movie but fun, that was lit where just by muzzle flash, where the Christian Bale character goes into a dark room full of enemies and there's a moment of silence and then we get just muzzle flash, little flashes. Yeah, you could set up a strobe or something. But this could be a great way to connect that to the action that the actor is doing. The bad news is it doesn't work if it's not firing BBs. So what there appears to be is a motion sensor inside, so that as something goes through, it sets it off. So it's just a little orange flash in that front there as something goes through. So that means that with the gas blowback, the motion of the slide, the air going through, none of that sets off the motion detector, so no flash. Which means you can't use this unless you're actually firing BBs, which means most of the time on set, it's not a viable option. Gotta admit that's disappointing. Now, the good news is, with guns, often there are times when you're firing off screen, because you're not in a super wide enough shot to be able to see both you and the person you're firing at. And for something like that, sure, we could conceivably fire some BBs into a drop cloth or something held just off frame. It's an option, but it's definitely a limiting factor. So, for me, it becomes a question of, well, is there some way that we could change the direction of the So for me, the question is, if there was somebody who was enough of an electrical genius to change where the motion sensor was looking, to rewire this so that instead of the motion detector being on the inside, looking in, actually see this here. Where is it? I think it's this thing right here. Yeah, I think it's this thing right here. So if we could somehow move that so that it looked at the slide, I don't know if that would be a way to get that to trigger it, if it looked at the front, or if other light changes on that would then have it constantly going off anyway. Light change doesn't seem to do it. So that might work. If we could detach this unit and somehow run it along the back, drill it through so that it sticks out and looks at the slide, that might work. Then you might be able to get this flash triggered by the motion of the just the slide. Or otherwise find some way to rewire it. Because there is some motion with the gas blowback. There is something it could potentially cue off of. But as is, this is an extremely limiting factor, just being unable to fire this without having duties in it. So it's an exciting possibility. It has some potential, but out of the box, not going to work. This is standard, I think, 14 millimeter counterclockwise, so you can put this on a lot of handguns. You can mount it to pretty much any of the gas blowback M4s. It actually came with an adapter as well. If you have like one of the WE handguns with a threaded internal barrel, that'll let you slide it into that. So it does have a lot of options. Comes with a little USB charging cable. And I do think that this is worth investigating. I do think it's worth messing around with and seeing if I can get it to do what I want it to do. But again, straight out of the box, not quite there. Cycle through, that's the tracer unit. How do I turn this off? There we go, now it's off. Rude gesture testing this thing. So in case anybody else was interested, I thought I'd share this development, and if somebody else wants to take on that project before I have time of finding a way to rewire it, awesome. Let me know how it goes, I'd love to see it. All right, this is Kevin Inoue from Fight Designer LLC and PewTube. As always, if you have things you want to know, if you have feedback, you can leave comment here, send me a message, like, subscribe, anything else to make this worth doing more if you want to see more of them. And if you don't, and you might not. We'll see. All right. Until I feel motivated to make another one, stay safe, look good, stay sane, stay healthy. And if any of you are at Combat Con in Las Vegas in late July, I'll see you there.